The story begins with the introduction of four kingdoms known as Oahu, Maui, Kauai, and Hawaii. We are meant to know that they all lived on the same island but always got into war because of the cunning chiefs. Nearby, Kaana and his family went fishing, and they saw a big fish. Kaana jumped inside the sea and trapped it. The others helped him drag it out with the help of a rope. They caught the fish and all headed back home to their kingdom named Kauai. They got back to find their children playing with their stuffs and chased them all away. A little boy confronted Kaana and asked him why he left Maui, where he was a chief, and came to Kauai to live as a villager. A few minutes later, they heard a noise alerting them that the Mauis were around. They came to Kaana and told him to come back to Maui because he was summoned by the king named Kahekili. After much negotiation, Kaana decided to meet them at Maui's shore the next day. The next day, Kaana did in accordance to his promise by meeting the people of Maui, and they all headed to the warriors' field because that was where the king was. They had gotten to the warriors' field, and Kaana noticed that the warriors of Maui were practicing like they had a war at hand. Kaana was made to fight with one of the warriors before he got to the king. He dodged all the arrows thrown at him and fought with a warrior named Nui, and after their long, extended, entertaining battle, Kaana defeated his opponent. Kaana and the people knelt before King Kahekili. The king was happy to see Kaana. He went on talking about how much he missed Kaana's father before he died. He asked Kaana to honor his father by joining him, but he refused in a polite way and asked the king why he sent for him. The king called him in, and he was being told about a prophecy that needed to be fulfilled. He told Kaana to join him defeat the people of Oahu. Kaana refused, reasons being that he doesn't want to kill humans again. The king assured him that there wouldn't be killings, and that they needed to get the high priest of Oahu down. Kaana had an argument with his brother because he tried convincing Kaana to accept the king's request, and that if he refused, the king would harm the people of Kauai. The next day, the king called for Kaana and took him to a cave. In that cave, Kaana saw the remains of his father. He broke down in tears on seeing this. King Kahekili told him to join him in honor of his father. Kaana went to burn the remains of his father and bid to honor him. His brothers broke down in tears on seeing this. Later, Kaana went to the Tala, the prophetess, to seek for advice. Tala only spoke in parables, so Kaana didn't understand, but she made it clear to him that he should take his father's hands and follow the lead. He wasn't sure what that meant, and he told his sister about it. She also gave him his father's shear that was delivered to him by the king's men, and also told him to go with King Kahekili to defeat the Oahu. Kaana dressed up in his battle robes and said goodbye to his sister. He and his family headed to where the king was. He then told the king that they could bring down Oahu with little bloodshed. He told him the plan, and also that they shouldn't harm the young king of Oahu. The whole family said goodbye to the sister, and they all headed to Oahu. They got to Oahu, and the men of Oahu fought them, trying to defend their land. Kaana and his family defeated the front men of the Oahu warriors. While the battle was still going on, Kaana saw the prophetess, but she looked unhappy before she vanished. He told his family to tend to the wounded, after which he and some others headed to the temple in search of the high priest. While they went to the temple, some of Oahu warriors attacked, but they defeated them. Kaana got news that the King Kahekili was in Oahu, and according to the plan, he wasn't supposed to be there. They realized these individuals weren't warriors but are farmers. On the other hand, King Kahekili started killing the men of Oahu brutally, before he then ordered his men to kill everyone not excluding children and women, if after knowing fully well they were at the sacred ground. Immediately, Kaana and his people got to where the king was to stop him, but sadly, by the time they arrived, Kahekili had already captured the young king. He tried to plead with Kahekili not to kill him, but he murdered the young king regardless. This made Kaana very angry. He told the king that he just desecrated a kingdom. The king didn't care because he now had Oahu kingdom all to himself. The king's son followed Kaana and told him he was lied to as well by his father. He saw how many people were killed, and he fell in tears, but his sister consoled him. Kahimanu was being called in by her father. He told him about the attack of Oahu by King Kahekili. He said that war coming to their own island, and that he came to take Kahimanu back with him. He had promised Kahimanu's hand in marriage in exchange for their safety. She pleaded with her father not to, as she didn't want to get married that way. Her mother told him to go, and that she would send Kahimanu to him later. Kahekili's son confronted him and asked him why he lied to them. He then told his son why, stating what he did was necessary. Meanwhile, Kaana brothers were being watched closely by Kahekili's men. The king ordered Kaana to his temple, but when he got there, he only saw Kaana's weapon. This signaled war against the king. So quickly, Kahekili men checked and found out that Kaana and his family had fled. King Kahekili ordered his men to go after Kaana and bring his bones to him. Kaana with his family went on to get their sister Heat before they flee from the island. They went there, but she was nowhere to be found. They saw a sign that she would be at the valley replanting what she harvested. Kaana had gone into the forest because he sensed Kahekili's men around. He saw them there, and quickly a battle ensues as they attacked. They came in multiple folds, and he had to run from them. His family also decided to leave him in search of Heat because they knew he'd make it out on his own. Kaana ran into the woods, and Kahekili men went after him, but they lost him. They split themselves up and went into the woods. The Paleskins also made their way to the land and also went into the woods in search of food. Kahekili, on the other hand, was being confronted by her mother. She gave her reasons why she had to go, as that was their only option to safety. The next day, Kahekili went to the prophetess to seek for advice on what to do. The prophetess told her something entirely different. She said the god's fear was her and that she will break the world. This frightened Kahekili, and she hurriedly went back to the cave. Kaiana's family had found heat, and they were so happy to see each other. They told her everything that happened in Oahu had Kaiana's condition. Kahekili's men found Kana and threw a rock from afar. He fell and struggled back up. He hid inside the woods again. There, he got hold of a pig which he threw at men. This confused them, thereby giving him an opportunity to run from them. Kaiana struggled till he got to a cave where he hid for a while. Inside this cave, he met Kahekili, and she offered to help him. She took him to a hidden place, and she treated his injuries. The men gathered back up and began to look for him again. Kaiana woke up and wanted to go, but Kahekili told him he needed to rest till his injuries were healed up. They drank and introduced themselves to each other. The next day, Kahekili told Kaiana that she had a canoe waiting, and she could help Kaiana and his family flee to Hawaii, and he agreed. Some of the men saw a pale skin, so they killed him and took his weapons. Kahekili and Kaiana also saw the pale skins on their way out. The pale skin were scared and tried to defend themselves with a gun. And this alerted Kahekili's regarding their location. Suddenly, Kaiana saved one of them that was almost killed by Kahekili's men and left the scene with Kahekili. Kaiana told Kahekili to take his family to Hawaii and also gave her an item to give to Kupua, his brother, while he drew the Kahekili's men away. Kaiana's brother was losing patience and wanted to go in search of him. Just then, Kahekili came and told him what Kaiana had said. The pale skins were getting back on their boat while Kahekili's men were in chase of Kaiana. Kahekili also saved a pale skin that needed help and went with him. Kahekili's men caught up with Kaiana, and he went into a fight with them because he couldn't run further. He fought till he could no longer, and he fell into the ocean with Kahekili's high chief. Kahekili's son then ordered for his men to recover their bodies. Luckily for Kaiana, he was saved by the pale skins and was brought into their ship. He gained consciousness and went outside. He tried to make them go back, but they made him know that they couldn't. He had no other option than to go with them. It was a year later, and Kaiana lived with the pale skins. He was also learning their language. Kahekili, on the other hand, was in Hawaii with Kaiana's family. The pale-skinned man who was with him also taught the children their language. Kaiana was also being trained on how to use guns by the paleskins. King Kahekili's son was in Oahu when one of his father's soldiers came to him and told him that his father summoned him at his war party. The last of Oahu's chiefs were plotting to kill Kahekili with a poison. Suddenly, Kahekili came there, and his soldiers surrounded the chiefs. He then ordered them to kneel before him. He also threatened him with his family. The chief, who had no option, decided to kneel before him. Just then, Kahekili's son arrived too when the king told the chief to pick one of his family members to be poisoned. This was because he wanted to take the king out with a poison. Since he wasn't able to pick, the king poisoned them all, leaving only the chief. Back in the kingdom of Hawaii, Kamehameha was being told that his uncle sent for him because his health was deteriorating. He wanted to see him. The king asked Kamehameha a very tricky question on what he'd do if he became king, but he answered very brilliantly. Kaua didn't like the fact he answered brilliantly. Meanwhile, Kahekili was having a conversation with a pale skin named John in his language, and her father interrupted. He excused John and told Kahekili that her marriage was going to take place that night, but she didn't like it. Kaiana was having a conversation with a pale skin, and he made it known to him that he needed to go back to his family, and they needed him there. The pale skin told him about their upcoming visit to Zamboanga, and that he could get some weapons there. Kahekili went after her father and questioned him about the marriage. He told her that the king was near death, that was why she needed to get married at that time. He also told her that he believed Kamehameha to be the prophesied king. Kahekili met Huku in the garden. Huku made her know she knew about her upcoming marriage. The pale skins were being called up with a bell, as they had all gotten to Zamboanga to offload cargoes. Kaiana had some expensive coins to trade for weapons there, and had some weird stares from the people of Zamboanga. His friend took him to where he could trade for some weapons. He picked the ones he liked, but he wasn't able to purchase them because his coins weren't valuable enough. They want to have something to eat, and his friend excused for a minute. Just then, he was approached by a drunk man, but put him down in his defense. He met an Hawaii lady there because of the language she spoke. She told him her name is Whitney, but the people called her Vi. She offered to help him get the weapon he wanted. He asked her why she offered to help, and she told him that he was going to help her too. Vi took him to where he'd purchased the gun. She gave him a sandalwood as the value was very high, and he agreed to give them a gun in exchange. Kaiana wasn't happy with Vi giving the sandalwood in exchange for a gun, but Vi convinced him. Captain Milk Cafe was approached by Marley and told him about some untouched islands. Whoever takes these islands can control the pathways of the Pacific from Alaska to Canada, and he found it interesting. Back in Hawaii, Kamehameha and Kahekili were being prepared for their marriage. The old wife spoke to Kahekili and told her she'd share bed with Kamehameha. Night came, and the kingdom of Hawaii gathered to watch Kamehameha and Kahekili's union. She entered into his crib, and the whole village watched as they knew each other. Kayana's friend snuck into the captain's crib, and surprisingly, he saw Marley. He threatened him with a gun, but the captain defended Marley instead and beat up Kayana's friend till he was unconscious. The episode then came to an end. Kindly subscribe to get updated on the remaining episodes when it is available. Thanks for watching and goodbye.